There are millions of people right now who are deeply, genuinely spiritual and want absolutely nothing to do with religion. And they've been made to feel guilty about that. Like they walked away from something sacred. Like they gave up on God. I want to say something clearly and directly. Walking away from religion is not the same as walking away from the divine. In fact, for a lot of us, it was the first genuinely spiritual thing we ever did. Religion is a container. Spirituality is the water. And for too long, we confused the two. I want to be precise about what I mean when I say religion. I'm not talking about community or ritual or the genuine desire to connect with something greater. Those things are sacred. Those things are human. I'm talking about the system, the hierarchy, the gatekeeping, the doctrine that tells you your access to the divine is conditional, contingent on your beliefs, your behavior, your body, or your identity. I'm talking about the version of God that was handed to you with a list of requirements attached. That version was never God. That was control wearing God's name. I know this personally. I grew up in the church. I loved God, genuinely, completely, with everything I had. And I was also gay. And for years, those two things lived in a war inside me that I didn't know how to end. Because the system told me they were incompatible, that one had to go. And since I couldn't stop loving God, I spent years trying to stop being myself, praying to be different, performing a version of me that the system could accept, and slowly, quietly, losing the thread of who I actually was. What I didn't understand then is what I know now with every cell in my body. My authenticity was never the obstacle to God. It was the path. The divine doesn't require you to diminish yourself to draw near. That requirement was written by men, not source. This is what I mean when I talk about sovereign spirituality. Not spirituality without structure, not spirituality without reverence or practice or depth. Sovereign spirituality means your relationship with source belongs to you. It is not mediated by an institution. It is not contingent on a doctrine. It is not dependent on anyone else's permission or approval. It lives in your body, in your direct experience, in the moments of genuine connection that no one can take away from you because no one gave them to you in the first place. Source did. Now I want to talk about the science of what this actually does in the body, because this isn't just theology, this is biology. The Heart Math Institute has spent decades researching something called heart coherence, the state that emerges when the heart, brain, and nervous system come into synchronized rhythmic alignment. In coherence, cognitive function improves, intuition sharpens, emotional resilience deepens, the immune system strengthens, the body's inflammatory response decreases. And perhaps most remarkably, the heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the physical body. A field that other people's nervous systems can detect and respond to without a single word being spoken. And what is the fastest, most reliable pathway into heart coherence? It's not doctrine, not ritual performed from obligation. Love. Genuine, felt, embodied love. The kind that doesn't require justification, the kind that just is. Love is not a sentiment. It is a frequency. And heart coherence is what it looks like when your whole system is vibrating at that frequency simultaneously. And that's when the most magical things can happen. But here's the part I think most people miss. And it's the part that changed everything for me personally. The highest form of love is not sacrifice. It's not performance. It's not the version of love that asks you to make yourself smaller so someone else is more comfortable. The highest form of love is authenticity. When you show up as exactly who you are, not the curated version, not the palatable version, not the version that already has all the answers and never doubts, but the real, full, unedited version of you. You give everyone around you permission to do the same. That is love in its most powerful form, because it says you don't have to perform here. You don't have to earn your place. You are enough, exactly as you are. Your heart cannot be fully coherent while you are pretending. The body knows the difference between performed love and real love, between performed faith and genuine connection, between a self that's been approved by a system and a self that's been lived from the inside out. Authenticity is not selfishness. Authenticity is the most generous thing that you can offer, because a coherent heart is contagious. And the world right now is desperately in need of that contagion. So what is the new earth? I don't think it's a place. I don't think it's an event on a timeline. I think new earth is a frequency, and it is built one sovereign soul at a time. Every time someone chooses authenticity over performance, love over fear, direct experience over inherited doctrine, it is already being built, and you can feel it. In the conversations people are having that they couldn't have 10 years ago, in the number of people quietly walking away from systems that no longer serve them, and walking towards something they can't fully name yet, but can feel in their chest. That feeling is real. That is Source calling you back to yourself. The new earth doesn't need more believers. It needs more people who are willing to be fully, unapologetically, sovereignly themselves. I spent years trying to be someone the church could love. I contorted myself. I prayed myself smaller. I offered up the most alive parts of me on an altar that was never worthy of the sacrifice. And what I found on the other side of all of that noise, when I finally stopped performing and just started being, was not the absence of God. It was the most direct experience of Source I had ever had. Because Source was never in the building I left. Source was in me. It was always in me. It had been waiting patiently, lovingly, without condition, for me to just stop looking for it somewhere else. The divine does not live in doctrine. It lives in the authentic, beating, sovereign heart of every soul willing to claim it. That's the invitation of this episode. Not to abandon reverence, not to throw away everything that has ever felt sacred to you, but to stop asking permission, to stop waiting for a system to validate what you already feel, to let your direct experience of the divine be enough, because it is. It always was. The new earth doesn't need religion. It needs you, whole, authentic, sovereign, and alive. If this resonated, please consider subscribing and leave me a comment. I love hearing about people awakening to the divine light shining within. Thank you, and I love you. I'll see you on the next and final episode of this series.